Let me ask you, have you ever looked into someone's eyes and seen the truth they're desperate to hide? They want you, they crave you, but their pride won't let them say it. They put on a mask. They act like they're fine. They pretend you don't matter. But here's the reality. They're lying to you. And more than that, they're lying to themselves. Because the silence they're hiding behind isn't strength. It's fear. They thought walking away would make them look powerful. They thought keeping quiet would make you doubt yourself. But what they don't realize is this: silence cuts both ways. And the longer they stay quiet, the heavier the weight becomes. Not on you, but on them. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Their silence is outside noise. Your strength comes from knowing the truth. You don't need their words to confirm your worth. You already know who you are. And here's the shift. You stop chasing. You stop proving. You stop waiting. Because when you choose silence too, you flip the script. Suddenly, they're the ones restless at night, battling thoughts they can't escape. They want you, but they won't say it. And that game they're playing, it's not power, it's weakness. I want you to comment this right now, to stamp it in your mind. I don't chase, I attract. My worth is undeniable. Now let's dive into the first truth you need to understand. Number 1, their pride is a mask, not their truth. When someone wants you but stays silent, don't be fooled. Their pride is not strength. It's a mask. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." But most people can't do that. They'd rather choke on their feelings than risk looking vulnerable. That's not power, that's fear disguised as dignity. Think about it. If you didn't matter, they wouldn't be conflicted. If they didn't feel anything, they wouldn't fight to hide it. Their pride is proof. Proof that they're afraid to admit they were wrong. Proof that they're afraid to need you. Proof that their ego is louder than their honesty. But pride has one fatal flaw. It rots from the inside. And while they're busy trying to look strong, inside, they're crumbling under the truth. They want you more than they'll ever admit. Here's where your power comes in. You don't chase. You don't beg. You don't force words out of their mouth. You let them wrestle with their silence while you stand unshaken. Because every second you don't break, their mask slips. Every moment you stay firm, their pride becomes their prison. And eventually that prison will suffocate them. The next time you start doubting yourself, remember this. Their silence is not rejection, it's confession. They want you. They're just too weak to say it. Don't make their weakness your wound. Number 2, silence exposes their weakness. Marcus Aurelius said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." Let that sink in. When they stay silent to protect their pride, they think they're winning. They think their silence makes them powerful. But here's the truth. They've revealed their weakness without even realizing it. Because silence, when rooted in pride, isn't strength, it's avoidance. It's running from the very thing that eats at them every single day. The fact that they still want you. You see, silence is a mirror. And in that mirror, they can't escape themselves. When they're alone, when the distractions fade, when the night gets quiet, that's when the truth starts to scream at them. They remember the way you looked at them. They remember the sound of your voice. They remember the comfort of your presence. And instead of facing it, they hide behind silence, hoping it will make the desire disappear. But silence doesn't erase longing. It amplifies it. This is where you reclaim your power. Most people crack under silence. They send that text, they make that call, they beg for closure. But not you. You're different. You've realized the silence doesn't belong to them. It belongs to you. You've turned it into a weapon, because the longer you remain firm, the more it exposes their weakness. They start to wonder why you're not breaking, why you're not chasing, why you're not feeding the game they built. And the more they wonder, the more the balance of power shifts. Don't mistake their prideful silence for indifference. Indifference is calm. Indifference doesn't care. But their silence? It's heavy. It's anxious. It's restless. That's not indifference. It's evidence. Evidence that you're still on their mind. Evidence that they're still fighting feelings they can't control. Evidence that the desire hasn't died. It's only been buried under ego. The next time you feel tempted to break the silence, flip the thought. Say to yourself, every day I don't move, the truth eats them alive. Hold your ground. Let silence do its work. Now, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. My silence is power. Their weakness is exposed. Number 3, your value skyrockets in their eyes. Seneca once wrote, "Things that were hard to bear are sweet to remember." And that's exactly what happens when you step back, when you don't chase, when you don't explain. Suddenly, the very things they took for granted become priceless treasures in their memory. Your silence turns ordinary moments into gold, that smile they ignored. Now it haunts them. That laugh they dismissed, now it replays in their head like a song they can't shut off. Here's the brutal truth. When you were always available, your value was hidden in plain sight. They assumed you'd always be there, so they discounted you. But when you took your presence away, scarcity flipped the script. People crave what they no longer have, and now they crave you. Your absence becomes the fire that forges their longing. They start comparing everyone else to you, and no one measures up. This is where the tables turn. While they sit in silence pretending they're fine, deep down they're calculating the cost of losing you, and that cost keeps rising. Every day you don't return, your value multiplies. Every night you don't text, your worth grows heavier in their heart. What once felt secure to them is now a loss they can't escape. You don't have to beg for respect. You command it by walking away. You don't have to convince them of your worth. You prove it by letting silence raise your price. And the most empowering part? You're no longer waiting for them to validate you. You already know your worth. You already know you're rare. And that unshakable self-belief is exactly why they can't stop wanting you. Instead of obsessing over what they think, pour into yourself. Build your body, your mind, your dreams. Every step you take toward your highest self increases your value, not just in their eyes, but in yours. Number 4, silence shatters their ego. Marcus Aurelius said, "Reject your sense of injury and the injury itself disappears." And that is exactly what your silence does. It doesn't just distance you, it crushes the ego they built on the idea that you would always return. They fed themselves the lie that no matter how they treated you, you'd still be there. They thought they had control, they thought they had power. But when you walked away and stayed quiet, that illusion shattered into pieces. Understand this. Ego thrives on control. It feeds on reactions, on your need to explain, on your willingness to chase. When you go silent, you starve their ego. You take away its fuel. Suddenly, they can't read you. They can't predict you. They can't manipulate you. And nothing terrifies an ego more than unpredictability. That silence becomes a storm inside their head, because now they are forced to face the possibility that they lost someone who will never bow to their control again. This is why silence hits harder than any argument, harder than any plea. Words can be dismissed, explanations can be twisted, but silence leaves no escape. It is undeniable. It is unshakable. It is the one thing they cannot ignore, and in that space, their ego begins to collapse. They start asking themselves questions they never wanted to face. Did I push too far? Did I lose the best thing I ever had? Will they ever come back? And here's the key. You're not doing it to hurt them. You're doing it to reclaim yourself, to show that your value doesn't depend on anyone's validation, to prove that their ego no longer owns you. And once they realize they cannot bend you, cannot shake you, cannot control you, their confidence turns into fear. The next time you feel tempted to respond, remind yourself, every word you give them rebuilds their ego. Every moment of silence dismantles it. Stay quiet. Let them wrestle with their own thoughts. Now, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. My silence destroys their control. Number 5. Your distance reverses the power. Seneca once said, "He who is brave is free," and walking away without looking back is the bravest move you could ever make, because it takes the control they thought they had and puts it back in your hands. When you pull away, you shift the dynamic. Suddenly, the one who used to wait for your replies, the one who used to question their worth, is no longer you. It's them. They're the ones glued to their phone, waiting for a message that never comes. They're the ones stalking your silence, wondering why the power they once held over you slipped through their fingers. Distance flips the script. Before, they assumed they could push and pull you whenever they wanted. They thought you'd always be available, always be an option. But when you stepped back, you proved you were never an option. You were the prize. That's the moment they realize power belongs to the one who needs less, not more. By needing nothing from them, you show that you're untouchable. By withholding your presence, you prove that your life does not orbit around their approval. This shift terrifies them, because the person who was once predictable is now the one holding all the cards. They can't handle the silence. They can't handle the mystery. They can't handle that they no longer know where they stand with you. And that uncertainty eats at them day and night. Understand this. Power is not about shouting, chasing, or proving. Power is control over yourself. Power is refusing to be dragged back into old games. Power is the distance that makes them realize your worth is beyond their reach. The next time you feel the pull to reach out, pause. Ask yourself, am I giving away power or keeping it? Choose the latter. Protect your distance. Guard your silence. That's where your strength lives. Number 6. Your silence exposes their weakness. Epictetus taught, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. In other words, let them think whatever they want, because your silence will reveal the truth without you saying a single word. When you don't react, when you don't explain, when you don't run back to defend yourself, their weakness starts to show. They built their confidence on the idea that you needed them, but when you stop feeding their ego, the cracks begin to form. Silence exposes the games. It forces them to see how much power they only had when you gave it away. Suddenly, they're scrambling, questioning, replaying everything in their head, because the attention they depended on is gone. And here's the truth. Silence always unmasks dependency. The one who can't sit still, who can't stay calm without a response, is the one who was secretly weaker all along. And you rise higher. Your calmness, your restraint, your refusal to explain every little move, it unsettles them. They thought your voice gave them leverage, but your silence is the blade that cuts through illusion. When you don't give them your energy, they're left to wrestle with their own demons. And that struggle hurts them far more than any words you could throw their way. Remember, silence is not passive. Silence is a weapon, a shield, and a teacher all at once. It shows you where real strength lives, not in noise, but in self-control. Train yourself to embrace the pause. When emotions run high, when you feel tempted to break the quiet, remind yourself, their weakness is not my problem. My silence is my shield. Then breathe. Stay calm. Let them wrestle with the void you've created. Now, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. My silence reveals their weakness, not mine. Number 7. Your distance forces them to reflect. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When you step back, when you go quiet, when you refuse to return, you leave them alone with their thoughts. And that is where the real torment begins. They can pretend they're fine in public, they can laugh with friends, they can post on social media like they've moved on. But when the noise fades and they're left in silence, that's when the truth sinks in. Your absence becomes a mirror, and in that mirror they see every mistake they made. Reflection is unavoidable in silence. They start to replay the moments when they dismissed you, when they underestimated you, when they thought you'd never leave. And now, that silence is the evidence of their own failure. It's not that you punished them, it's that they are forced to punish themselves by facing what they ignored. And the longer you stay distant, the clearer the reflection becomes. This is the beauty of silence. It creates accountability without you lifting a finger. They may try to distract themselves, but they can't escape the shadow of what they lost. The laughter you once gave, the comfort you once provided, the presence they took for granted, now it echoes in their memory, louder than any words you could ever speak. But here's the power you must hold on to. Don't break the reflection. Don't give them quick relief by rushing back, explaining, or soothing their guilt. Let the silence do its work. Let them face themselves, because that discomfort is the exact weight they need to carry to finally understand your worth. When you feel tempted to return just to ease their tension, stop and remind yourself, their reflection is not my burden. Stay silent. Stay away. Allow them to sit with the mirror of their own choices. Number 8. Your silence proves you chose yourself. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself, and nothing proves mastery more than silence." By refusing to run back, by refusing to beg, by refusing to settle for scraps, you're showing the world that you've chosen yourself. That is the most terrifying thing for them to realize, that they no longer own your attention, your energy, or your heart. They thought you would always return because you loved too much, cared too deeply, and gave too freely. But silence shattered that illusion. Silence became the declaration that you will no longer tolerate half-love, disrespect, or being treated as an option. Silence is not emptiness. It's your new boundary. It's the line in the sand that says, "I will not betray myself just to keep you comfortable." And that truth hurts them more than anything, because deep down they want you, but they won't say it. They can't admit it. Their pride won't let them. Yet your silence is proof that their pride doesn't matter anymore. You have elevated above it. You have turned your focus inward, choosing peace over chaos, dignity over desperation, and self-respect over toxic attachments. This is the moment where you rise. This is the moment where they finally understand that you were the gift all along. And even if they never admit it out loud, they will carry the sting of your silence for a long time. Because silence isn't just the absence of words, it's the presence of strength. Write down 3 promises to yourself today. Promise that you will no longer beg for attention, settle for less than you deserve, or return to people who couldn't see your value the first time. Keep that list somewhere visible and live by it every single day. Now listen closely. This is your moment. Every tip, every word you've just heard is not just advice, it's a call to arms. Your silence has already begun to shift the balance, to turn the tables, to reclaim the power that was always yours. But it doesn't stop here. You must own it. You must live it. Every day you honor your boundaries. Every day you refuse to beg for attention. Every day you choose yourself first. You grow stronger, sharper, untouchable. Remember the words of Marcus Aurelius. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Your power is not in their recognition. It is in your mind, your choices, and your self-respect. Stand firm, walk tall, speak when you must, but let your silence roar louder than any words they could utter. Let your presence, when you choose to show it, be undeniable, unshakable, and magnetic. Do not settle. Do not return to those who never valued you. Do not let pride or ego convince you to shrink yourself. You are the storm, the calm, the fire, and the fortress. You are complete on your own, and every moment of your silence reminds them and yourself of that truth. This is your life. This is your power. And from this moment forward, no one will dictate your worth, your energy, or your attention. You are the master of yourself. You are unstoppable. If this video ignited a fire inside you, if it reminded you of your strength, your dignity, your unshakable value, then take action now. Drop your favorite affirmation in the comments. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. And most importantly, subscribe and hit the bell to make sure you never miss a message that reminds you of the power that lives in your silence, your boundaries, and your self-respect. Your silence has changed the game. Now it's time for you to change your life. Step into it. Stand firm. Own your power.